How's it going, everyone? It's Dyke and signing here, bringing you my first DNF Duel guide. Today is going to be the beginner's guide, going over all the basic moves and commands and buttons, and of course all the basic mechanics and stuff of the game that you need to know when you first start. So getting started with the basics here, this is going to be a 6-button fighter, starting off with your A button, your B button, your skill button, your MP skill button, your guard button, and your awakening skill button. Now the awakening skill button is going to be something you have access to once you are 30% HP or below. Now, of course, like every standard fighting game, there is going to be standing and crouching versions of all your normals, as you can see. However, on the S button itself, there are going to be command normals that you can utilize for just about every character to cast. And this is going to be of your back skill button and your forward skill button. So the back one for striker is going to be this low kick, which is actually a low, and this forward skill button, which is going to be a lunging punch for her. Of course, this is also going to be the case for your MS skill button. So there is the regular one, then there's the back one for her, there is going to be the forward one, and there's a down one, which the down one will be a DP for her. So just about a lot of characters in this game have DPs, but not every character, but a decent amount of cast actually have DPs within this game. Now movement in this game is going to be very straightforward. There is of course your standard back walk, forward walk, and then there's your dash. There's no dash button, but you do dash. There's a back dash. There's no air dash or air dash back as well in this game. It's just standard hop. However, there is momentum that carries over from your dashing and your hop. So if I start running and I dash, you see the character sort of goes forward a little bit. Now, unlike inside of Grand Blue Versus, where this is a state where you can't block, you can block while you are still sort of moving like this. So just keep that in mind. You can actually still move and still block. Also, it does carry over if you say like neutral jump. You see like some of that momentum carries over into the jump itself rather than you just staying stationary. As I mentioned earlier, DNF Duel actually comes intact with a guard button. So this will allow you to auto guard cross up. So if anything were to cross you up while you're using this button, you can auto guard it. However, you still have to choose between high and low. So even though you will guard the left, right, you still have to choose between a high and a low. So just keep that in mind when you're using this button. Also, another thing you want to keep in mind when you're using the guard button inside DNF Duel is it actually locks you out of your grab. So the universal grab is going to be A plus B. If I hold the guard button and try to do this, notice that I don't get a grab. So this also means that you cannot tech a grab. So if I were to try to tech a grab like this, notice it doesn't happen. However, if I just let this happen, I can tech the grab. So you cannot tech grabs while using the guard button. So your opponent can notice that you're using guard button and still try to go for a grab to try to break your defense. Now, a bit of advanced technique with the guard button itself, which I'll go more in details in my tips and trick video, is talking about how it can halt your forward momentum. So notice how when we run like we talked before, how you have this little bit of a slide. However, if you tap the guard button, you won't go nearly as far. So you're still able to block, but you don't have this sort of forward momentum. So you can sort of make attacks with a little bit easier when it comes to actually using the guard button this way. So this is going to be a little bit more of an advanced technique when it comes to using your spacing, and it's going to be very crucial for certain characters to get certain things that they want to make whiff in order to get those whiff punishes. Of course, another good movement option in this game is going to be the dodge roll. So this is going to have a bit of invincibility as you dash towards your opponent, and if you're close to your opponent, you will actually cross. Now this will have recovery, so they can punish it if they read it, but it will allow you to get past certain buttons that are going to be very big. So if you're trying to get past your opponent and make them whiff something, this is how you're going to be able to do it. If you could just time it just right, use that invincibility, and actually go in for the punish. So talking about guard crush and gray life within DNF Duel. So of course, as you can expect, you can break your opponent's guard by basically just doing enough attacks to them and basically bringing their light blue bar down to a bar that is completely depleted. So you see it's turning red, and then one more attack, and then bam, next hit will guard break. So this puts them in sort of a stagger state, and the next hit you do is going to be unguardable by the opponent. So guard break your opponent is going to be something that's going to be very scary for your opponent, and that's why applying different types of pressure to your opponent to keep them guessing to try to get this guard break is going to make it to where opponents get a little bit more flinchy once their guard bar starts getting a little bit low. So talking about gray life is not something you're going to get from your basic normals on block. However, on hit, these will actually cause gray life to happen. Now, what does cause gray life to happen on block is going to be your MP skills. So as you can see, once I do these skills, these will build up the gray life on your opponent. So not only are you doing guard bar damage, but you're also bringing gray life to them. Now, what can gray life actually do for your opponent? Well, hitting an opponent that actually has gray life is going to allow you to actually deplete it. So if you hit with an MP skill, this will allow you to deplete the gray life that was there, because gray life will be life that they can recover if you don't do anything about it. So notice that if I just sit here, the gray life just gradually starts to go up just like that. So if you don't hit them or you don't use an MP skill on them, that isn't on block but rather on hit, then they will be able to recover that said life. And once again, these are going to be something that's going to happen from MP skills on block or from just regular attacks on hit. Now, as far as using your gray life, this is where conversion is going to come in. So conversion can be used in a multitude amount of ways, and it's one of the highly unique mechanics within this game. So conversion is going to be a way for you to basically cancel your recovery of anything, but it also has a few other properties. So what can you exactly use this for? So you can use this for all sorts of things. First off, you can definitely use it for, like I said, making sure that you don't get punished. Like, say if I do this long sweep and I realize that the opponent was in the air or something like that, I could do this and then go for an uppercut. Realize, oh, hey, I whiffed, and then sort of go for that. Now, what essentially does this do? This cancels your gray life and makes it to where you just go to the life point. It looks like it takes a little bit of extra life too, but basically cancels your gray life. What it also does is it gives you meter in the process. So you see I'm spending meter, but if I conversion, bam, it just gives me an immediate boost of my meter. So this is going to be relative to the amount of gray life that you actually get. So if you have a lot more gray life than this, you'll get a lot more meter than this. Now, of course, when it comes to your health bar, you're going to get more meter. So you see I have 110, you'll get more meter for the less your life is. So the less your life is, the more meter you will have at your disposal, up to the maximum of 200 within this game. Also, they're canceling your recovery to make sure you don't whiff attacks and make sure they're not punishable. You can also use them for mix-ups. So say stuff like this, I can sort of jump up in the air with it and sort of come down, or I can use it in the middle of a block string. Like I can do overhead, cancel into another overhead, so you can make this a double overhead setup, like something like that. You do stuff like that. You can also use it to make conversions a lot easier because of the special properties. So if I do something like this, notice how the opponent just sort of hovers in the air a little bit, right? So it's a sort of a slowdown on it. So this is very good for certain things, especially like taking a character like Striker, who has the shoulder tackle. On counter hit, it does this huge wall bounce, right? It does this huge wall splat. Well, that's kind of hard to actually convert off of, but if we use conversion, if we have conversion available, we can make this much easier to convert off of, because we can have time to run over there and pick it up for a full conversion because of the slowdown. So this is something that you can use at any point. It doesn't matter where you are on the screen. As long as you got a hit on your opponent, this will slow down the game just like this. On at least physical hits, I'm not sure projectiles, but at least on physical hits for your opponent, this will slow down the game just like that and make it to where you can get over there and pick it up for a quick combo. Now, another important mechanic to talk about in this game is going to be guard cancel. So guard cancel is going to be forward BS within the game when you are in block stun, just like this. So keep in mind that every person's guard cancel is going to be different as far as the range that it covers. So while Crusader is going to have this huge one that covers a lot of range, not every character is going to be able to guard cancel from this far away. So play around with your character and see exactly how far your character can actually guard cancel away from the opponent. Now, the unique thing about guard cancel itself is it actually takes 100 meter to do. And unlike anything else in the game, even though everything has a set value of how much it takes, if we look at the actual command list here, you can see that every skill actually consumes a certain amount of MP. However, if you even have 1 MP left in the chamber, you can actually still use a skill no matter if you are at the point where it will not be there. So you see I'm still using skill, even though this skill actually costs way more than what I'm using. You will just go into the exhaust state, and once you're in an exhaust state, of course, then you will not gain meter for a certain amount of time. This is basically the game's like meter penalty. However, to even attempt a guard cancel, you need to have the 100 bar at least to enable to do it. So this is not going to be something that you could do at lower amounts of meter gauge. You need to have 100 in order to activate this. So the last important universal mechanic that we're going to go over before we talk about character specific things is going to be counter hits. And counter hits actually do what you expect them to do in this game, which is give you more hit stun. So this is going to be a counter hit combo I remember from Crusader back in the beta that still works, and it's going to be off his crouching light punch counter hit. So he can basically link crouching light punch into his standing light as a counter hit confirm like this. So as you see, that is a 3-hit combo that Crusader actually do. This is a link confirm, counter hit confirm that he could do off his crouching light punch. And this link is actually kind of difficult to actually do. So there are some sort of counter hit confirms that are going to be kind of difficult that you could actually pull off within this game. So talking about some of the more unique mechanics when it comes to character specifics within this game, every character is going to have basically different pressure structure or the order of which they can actually do things when it comes to their button sequences and stuff like that. For example, Striker is going to have the unique ability to actually do reverse beats. So her reverse beats are basically going to be something like, say I could do 5B into 5A or 5C into 5A. This is something that is unique to her. So this basically creates unique pressure structures for her that makes it ambiguous for when her pressure actually ends, because she could cancel into 2A or 5As and stuff like this and basically get her low recovery button and come back in for with like a slide or stuff like that. You don't know when her pressure actually ends because of stuff like this. She also has the ability to cancel her MP skills into each other pretty frequently like this. So you don't know when her pressure ends when it comes to stuff like that as well. Now, Ranger is going to be a little bit different. So Ranger isn't going to have a mashable 2A like she is, and he's not going to have access to the strings that she has. So his strings are going to be a little bit different when it comes to his pressure. Like, he can't do 5C into 5A. Like, he can't do it. It's only he can just press his buttons in the order sequence of like A, B into S into MS. But the unique thing about him is he can actually do the same MS button multiple times. So he could do stuff like this. So this is something that is unique to him, and other characters can't do this using the same button twice. They have to go to a different one, and characters even have other restrictions. Like, some characters can't cancel into certain normals. Like, they can't do their standing heavy or standing special into crouching. So you can see he can't do that. I'm trying to do it here and it's not working with him. So this is something that just doesn't work. However, if we switch back over to Striker, you'll see that she's a lot more freeform and she can actually cancel all of this into each other. So hers actually cancel into each other, and then I can go into her forward one, you can go into her back one. So she doesn't have this restriction. So there's many different types of restriction when it comes to your pressure structure or just the structure priority of every character's buttons within this game. And that's going to be a more unique thing, is how they can actually pressure you with their buttons, and exactly how can they chain into their meter spin moves, and exactly the properties of those as well. Now, the other cool and unique thing about this game is going to be the passives that every character get when they are at 30% HP or below. So this is also going to give you access to your Awakening Super, which is just, of course, on top of the button, depending on what button you set it on, and you get access to your Super. Now, one thing to keep in mind is, notice when I did the Super, my actual passive went away. So basically, when you use your passive, or when you use your Super, you actually lose your passive. So this is going to be something you want to keep in mind, and you may want to consider using your Super only when it kills, because of this actual thing that occurs. And the passives themselves range from a multitude of things. So for example, Striker's is going to be that she does more damage. So basically, every attack that she does is just naturally going to do more damage. So we take this basic combo here, like saying this into this, you'll see that does 175 damage. However, I just take her out of Awakening, you'll see that same combo did 160. So she lost 15 damage there, and that wasn't even a full combo. So you can imagine how much this actually increases her overall damage when it comes to her combos, on top of actually using her Super within the combo as well. Ranger's unique ability is, when he's in Awakening, any attack is going to basically put debuffs on the enemy. So this is going to decrease your attack, it's going to decrease your defense, and it's going to decrease your MP regen for a specific amount of time. So you can see there is like sort of a cooldown on it. It stays there for a bit, and then it sort of goes away. So it doesn't last the entire time. These debuffs are going to be there for a bit, and then they go away. Now, not every sort of debuff or sort of passive is going to be only when there is an Awakening on the opponent. So just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, if Crusader hits you with this move right here, you cannot jump versus him. So you see I'm trying to hold up, I'm pressing up, and nothing's happening until it actually goes off. Now I can jump. So as you can see, not every character is going to have debuffs that only are tied to their Awakening. There are characters that have debuffs within the game that are not tied to their Awakening as well. So there's just uniqueness around the characters all around. There's, you know, there's buffs, there's debuffs, and all this type of craziness when it comes to characters as far as Awakening and outside of Awakenings. And that pretty much covers all the bases you need to get started within DNF Duel. As always, I will also be making a video talking about each and every character in the game and what they bring to the table, so you can pick the best character for your playstyle. As always, if you like anything I had to say, drop me a like, really appreciate it. And if you want more from me, follow my socials. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications so your next video goes live. As always, my name is Daikin, and I'll see you next time. Signing out.